Okay, all systems seem to be okay.
Let's commence the countdown.
Are you quite sure you want to do this?
Yes, we're quite sure we'd like to start the countdown.
Commencing countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7. Look, you're absolutely sure you want to do this?
Yes, I clicked the thing saying that yes, I want to start the countdown. You've started the countdown and I haven't panicked and stopped it. So yes, I would like to do the countdown.
You want to do the countdown?
Yes.
And you think this is a good idea?
Yes, I do. I would like to do the countdown because I think it's a good idea to do the countdown.
Yes, we've worked very hard on this. We've researched it. We know exactly what we're doing.
Well, if you're sure, quite sure.
Yes.
You're certain, and I can't change your mind.
No, we wouldn't have clicked to do the countdown if we weren't ready to do the countdown.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh shit, I don't think we should have done that.
Greetings, strangers, queer and pleasant. I'm not Laura Kate Dale.
And I'm not Jane Iris Magnet, and welcome to another episode of Queer and Pleasant Strangers, that podcast where two queer trans ladies have a talk about our weeks and what we've been up to, and have a bit of a giggle with some silly voices and skits and that sort of thing. How are you this week, Jane? I know.
It was so much.
We watched a thing before we recorded this, and we'll get to that later. We watched a thing, and it was a lot, and we're going to talk about it. It was a lot. Feelings occurred.
So many feels.
But we'll get to that in the listen section. How are you doing this week, other than what we just watched?
I don't know. All of the things have been forgotten. There is only the sadness and confusion within my heart.
Well, I'll tell you how I'm doing then.
How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. We had quite a lovely weekend. We saw some friends and had a very long gaming day.
We did. We had a good gaming day.
We did lose most of our Saturday to tidying up and also broken
Fixing
computers.
Microsoft's problem.
But we got a laptop that broke on the day, fixed on the same day, and your computer that hasn't worked since like October is working again.
Thanks, Microsoft.
Thanks, we did it.
Yeah, and also thanks to Rob for fixing it.
Thank you, lovely Rob Dunphy, who helped us out because he's lovely and he's sweet and he's the best.
And the best at computers, and just the best in general.
He's the best in general. But yeah, it's been a nice old week, this one.
Yeah.
It's been alright, I think. Shall we start with what we've played? Because we've played a lot this week.
I feel like we have played more than usual this week.
Yeah, well, I think it helps that we had such a long gaming day on Sunday with a lot of games that were new to us.
Yeah, and then you've had a bunch of games you've been playing.
And we played a bunch of games together on your recent hatching day.
On my hatching day, yeah. Oh goodness, I'd almost forgotten about all of those.
I know.
Luckily, I put them on the list.
Well, I'm looking at them right now on the list. So, should we start with something you've played?
Something that just I played. I finished playing.
It could be Wii. I don't know. Something that you did play.
I haven't played anything on the Wii. I finished playing Sexy Brutal.
Oh yeah. How'd you get on with that?
Yeah, that was interesting.
It's not what you expect by the end, is it?
No, and I was really hoping that I would get to do like a thing where I had to save everybody in one go.
Yeah, that feels like a thing that should happen, but I think we worked out it's not possible.
Like a boss rush mode, it needs to be a thing.
Yeah, it does a really good job of like giving hints at its narrative that you end up going, oh, okay, yeah, that's what's... Okay, I see what's going on.
I was also really happy because I was trying desperately to keep up with the text and voice some of the characters as I was reading it for the stream. Yeah.
You did the whole thing on stream. This is your first game that you've played start to finish on streams.
No, I think Monkey Island 2 might have that particular thing. But yeah, that's... It was good.
Yeah,
it was good. I'm very glad. I feel like I should have paid more for it. I got it in a pack of like 4 games for like $3.49 on Fanatical.
Yeah, maybe next time they bring out a game, you can pick that up to be like at full price retail to be like, here you go, here's your thank you.
Yeah. That seems not unreasonable as a thing to do.
Yeah, you had a good time trying to prevent murders.
Yeah, I prevented all of the murders.
It's
Although I didn't. Or did I?
Yeah, it's also a short enough game that like you can conceivably like, yes, I will get to the end of this, which is nice.
I think it was what, like 9-10 hours, something like that.
Yeah, you got through it in what, 3 sessions playing?
I got it in 3 sessions, and there were some problems, and for some reason I can't export session 3 from Twitch to YouTube.
Yeah,
I've tried that several times now. It's just not happening.
It just ain't happening, but
you know, we'll see how it do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed Sexy Brutality. The art's nice, the music's very pretty, the way it all links together is really cool. Yeah, I would like to see more of that.
Yeah.
And more from that developer. What have you played?
I've been playing a bunch more Mass Effect Andromeda.
Cool.
The more I play of that, the more I'm actually really kind of digging it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone from, yeah, this is alright, to like, maybe it's just like, it's the kind of game that I want right now, but I'm having a real blast, like, going around planets doing busy work to be like, I'm gonna get this meter up to 100% so people can live on this planet and be safe and happy.
You're terraforming then?
I'm terraforming, basically. I'm enjoying a lot of the moral choices this gives. I felt very differently about this when I started playing it, but compared to the original Mass Effect trilogy, where most of the choices, you've seen this, the way that the choices and dialogue options are laid out, you've got, here's the be nice option, here's the be a bit ruthless option down the bottom, and like, it's always very clear which options, what the game thinks of which options, and additionally, most of those choices have consequences that happen later, and it'll come back to bite you in the arse and go, well, you picked this, so this is happening now. Andromeda really doesn't do that. Its moral choices are always just, here are 2 things that are very, very diametrically opposed, and both of them are kind of bad choices, and they're not even going to have an impact. It's just about stopping and thinking about what you...
Who is your character as a person? Yeah,
like, in a vacuum where you're not thinking about the mechanical benefits and drawbacks, what do you think of this moral conundrum? So I'm going to give an example of a side quest I found really early on in Andromeda that I thought was like a good one to summarise some of the questions it gives you. You end up going and talking to this person who's in prison. He's been arrested for murder, and he says, I didn't commit the murder. And he asks you to go and find evidence that he didn't commit the murder on the planet where it happened. He's in the army, and he's been accused of killing his commanding officer because his commanding officer ordered them to keep going, and this soldier was like, they got into a very big heated argument. He was like, we need to retreat. We're going to die if we don't retreat. And the accusation is that he's killed his commanding officer so that there's no one above him in the chain of command so we can get them retreated so they won't die. Which, there's a moral discussion to be had there. The thing that's really interesting is it turns out he didn't kill his commanding officer, but he intended to, and he thought he had. You find the commanding officer's body, and he's been shot in the back when the soldier was in front of him, so it's like, okay, the aliens shot him, but you hear a recording from the captain as he was dying, and the soldier goes, good riddance, I'm glad I did it, or something to that effect. And you have to have this discussion with the political leaders about, like, technically he's innocent of murder, but he intended murder, murder occurred, he was happy that the murder occurred, and we're in this weird position where if we let him go, we're letting go someone who we know will just murder authority figures when he's like, I disagree with your choice. Like, he had no way of knowing that they were walking into their death. That was just his opinion. He killed someone over it. Or he tried to kill someone over it. Equally, if you let him go, political problems happen because this is the first arrest for a murder that's happened in the Andromeda Galaxy. Do you potentially make the populace feel worried by letting him go? Because it seems like, they don't know how to have a proper legal system. Their first arrest, turns out they arrested the wrong person. And you're suddenly left with this question of, does it matter that he didn't actually kill this man? Because he intended to, and was happy that it happened, and tried to do it, and he did die. There's a conundrum. It's an interesting question.
It's certainly a philosophical point.
It's a philosophical quandary to be made. There's one later on. It's a much easier one to explain this one. There's an alien race who they have these fish. It's the only thing that they really have that has any history on this planet, and they have a lot of cultural reverie for these fish. They're like, you don't fish them, you just leave them be. And someone's been harvesting them, and it turns out it's like, hey, we think there's an oil in this fish's skin that can stop these aliens' weapons from hurting us. It might be able to help protect us from attacks. But you then have the question of, do you sanction tearing apart the culture of this species without their consent in order to save lives? And I find some of those questions interesting without the mechanical benefit at the end, where it's just...
This isn't going to help you, it's just who you are as a character.
Yeah, like, even for that one with the fish, it's not like you will have better armour. It will take so long to have any impact that you won't get to have any better defence because you sanctioned letting them use it. It's just a question of, where do you fall on this line? And I didn't like that initially. I kept going, there's no meaning to these choices. I was like, well, often when you make moral choices, you don't see an outcome. You just make your choice. And
we don't all live in D&D.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. And that bit of the game has really grown on me in my last couple of play sessions.
Okay.
What about you? What have you been playing?
Well, we played some things together on my hatching day.
Oh, we did.
We busted out the Sega Mega Drive Classics collection on the Switch.
We played some shooty ones, I think.
We played some side-scrolling beat-em-ups.
Yeah.
And we played something a bit more
yeah.
adventure-y.
Should we start at the top of your hatching day list?
Let's start at the very top. We started with Alien Storm, which I've mentioned on this show before.
Yeah.
It's a side-scrolling brawler beat-em-up where you are a sort of man-type person, possibly woman-type person, and a robot-y person. And the robot person has a whip, which is cool.
Indeed.
And their special attack is that they blow their arms, legs and body up, and then a replacement body and arms and legs comes in and picks up the head, which has just landed on the floor. Because that seems fine.
It reminds me a lot of the new Devil May Cry 5, where you have arms that you'll just blow up your robotic arm and then like stick another one on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's alright, it's bloody hard. It's that sort of, that era of coin-op time conversions of we have to make it hard.
A lot of the ones that we're going to talk about here felt very arcade sentiment, where it's like, a lot of these things, it feels impossible to get through scenarios without taking damage, or at least unrealistic, because they want you to guzzle through your tokens.
And the problem with home conversions for that is you could only ever get, like, you know, a few continues. Whereas, theoretically, you can have as many as you wanted.
I've always been a fan of arcade converter ports to consoles where they just give you a button that will add more tokens, because it's like, fuck it.
Offer free play. Yeah. Like, I'm sure there will still be people, because people play hardcore games all the time. There will still be people who want to go, well, that's it, I've run out of credits. I've used my one credit.
Yeah, I like when free play is an option, particularly in collections like this. It seems a shame not to include it.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose even though it's collection, it's not a collection of something like, say, arcade games. With a MAME emulator, it'd be much easier to just go, have a button that does it.
Yeah.
But because it is actually, like, you know, classic games, you would have to do a little bit of reprogramming
I suppose,
to add that. But, like, maybe even a cheat menu or something would have been an option. Because I'm sure, like...
Because some of the ones we played had some of their old cheats disabled, for example.
Yeah, I think that's a mechanical issue rather than an issue with the thing. Because there's a cheat in Golden Axe 2 where you hold down the special power button, I think, from, like, the beginning of the level until after the end credits.
Yeah.
Or until after you've... fought the little imp guys between main levels, and it used to give you just like tons and tons of magic power.
Yeah,
and it doesn't seem to work on this version. I don't know if that's a thing, but I believe like the Sonic up, down, left, right, A start
Yeah.
still works.
I did have fun with Golden Axe too when we played some of that. I like riding around on the dinosaur things, on the dragons. Dragon.
So
I like the one that breathes.
next one we played was Golden Axe 2.
I like the one that breathes fire.
I like the one with the little swishy tail that looks a bit like a battle axe, the pink and yellow
That
one.
one's very good.
It's always been my favourite. Yeah, I played a bit of that. Again, we didn't get very far.
I was
Oh no, actually, we played on easy. You were Gideon's Thunderhead.
Yeah. We did pretty alright.
We played on easy, so we got as far as you can get in that version.
Yeah.
I taught you about just standing in one position so that enemies will just walk off ledges. Which is always entertaining. And then the next one we did was Streets of Rage 3. Where Zan wears Heelys.
Yeah, there's an old man who wears Heelys. I played as the roller skates kid.
You played a skate and then the old man with Heelys.
Yeah, I was just like, what? I've got a knife. A knife!
I got a knife!
Just stabbed people on roller skates. It was great.
Yeah, you were doing pretty well at that. Yeah. Streets of Rage 3 is probably the one I played least of.
Yeah.
But it's the one I always end up sort of popping into in collections like this more recently because I know I never played them as a kid.
Well, I'm always up for playing more of it if you'd
I feel like we should have a go at Streets of Rage like 1 and 2 at some point.
Literally any of them. Point me in front of a game, I will play it with you.
Or see if we can find a download link for the Streets of Rage fan remake that ran for years. And I think it's like every single Streets of Rage level plus a possible, like some extra ones. All of the Streets of Rage music, all of the characters, plus loads of extra characters. Like, they put so much work in it, and then I think just before Streets of Rage 4 got announced, there was a cease and desist.
It'll be out.
The whole lot got shut down.
It'll be out there, though, because if it's on the internet, it'll exist forever.
I definitely think we should play that sometime, because I hear that's pretty damn good.
I am up for giving that a go.
Oh, yeah. And the last one we played that night was Toejam Earl.
Yeah, which I've never really played a lot of Toejam Earl.
Yeah.
And we got
You got really into it.
Yeah, we got pretty deep in.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to... Because immediately afterwards you were like, we should play more of that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, we were nowhere close to getting the full 10 bits of the ship.
We had, 2 or 3 bits of ship?
We were up to like the 13th level, I think.
Yeah, 13th. We hit the 13th floor. I seem to vaguely remember there's something you can do on like the 13th or 14th floor that involves a hot tub. That will take you to a secret level 0.
Okay.
I think that's how it works.
Well,
I was very small last time I tried this cheat.
Yeah, but for anyone who's not played it, it's incredibly 80s with all of the bowling alley carpet backgrounds.
All of the backgrounds do in fact look like bowling alley carpets.
Yeah, you're 2 aliens in the 80s trying to, like, you have no attacks or anything. You have to just not take damage from humans and devils and cupids and whatnot.
Yeah.
You go get food and open mysterious boxes that you'll have no idea what they'll do.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll be good, sometimes they'll be bad. And if you're unfortunate, you will fall off the end of the world.
Yeah. I liked that on the co-op on that. If one of you fell off the world and fell down to the level below, you could just keep going and like be playing on separate levels and just be like, I'll get back to you in a minute.
Yeah, there was a little bit of slowdown occasionally, but like it wasn't a real problem considering like we were quite impressed that it had loaded both levels. The only thing was that like whoever was on the highest level couldn't go up another level.
Yeah.
They had to just wait for the other person to come back.
Which is fair.
Yeah, it's not fair.
It's always nice when you can have like go off and do separate things and then come back and join each other later, particularly like that far apart in the levels.
Yeah, and it was nice because I've never played it with another person, so it was nice to be able to just go, let's split up and take a bit of the level each. I certainly got higher than I've ever done. I have done on Toejam Earl before, so reached some maximum levels, and I'm quietly cautious about how Toejam Earl Back in the Groove is going to be. I've watched a video on that recently. It's got some elements from 1 and 2, so
I am up for playing either more of the original or the new one, or both at some point.
I think we should definitely play more of the original.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
So what else you got?
I've started playing a PlayStation VR game that I'd heard good things about and hadn't gotten around to before.
The Tetris Effect.
No, funny that I've played Tetris Effect already. I got around to playing Astro Bot on PlayStation VR. So This is a game that is like made by, I think, Japan Studios from Sony, and is you play like a big you're like a god looking down into a sandboxy world where a little robot's running around trying to save people and find its friends and get them kicked back into the controller, and then you got to do some bosses and stuff.
Yeah,
and
the bosses are really interesting in that.
Yeah, so
I like the tentacles.
I'll talk about the main levels first. So it's not a particularly long game. It's got, I think, like 25 levels split into 5 worlds of 5 levels each. What really works about it is you're moving along sort of on track, so the movement isn't too much of a motion sickness issue. And it's really smart about how it uses its knowledge of where you are on this rail to sort of reward you for thinking to look in places that you might not think to look in. The obscuring of your view and how that interacts with a platformer controlling this little robot's really interesting. Sense of scale and lighting is great.
Yeah, the texture effects are really nice in that.
Yeah, all of the like level designs are really solid. There was a level that we were playing last night where we're in that very dark cave with just like the light on the walls near me. That one was really good. The one with the carts was really fun.
Yeah, it was nice to have that smooth the motion out for you. So although the robot was going all over the place, up and down and jumps and stuff, you were very much sort of statically in a moving vehicle.
Yeah, it's
around.
just some very smart design decisions for a platformer that you are in VR looking at that world. If anyone's played the PlayStation, the collection of PlayStation stuff that had the little robot platformer in it, that was one of the PSVR collections, it's basically a game of that but polished up and put on a bigger scale, and it's really, really quite cool. The bosses are all pretty fantastic. They're huge. And the scale and the ways you interact with them are really interesting. Like, talking a little bit about the first one, you're a little tiny robot. You're helping them fight a big gorilla creature. That's, I think it's called the Tooth Fairy, and it's a gorilla with these big teeth, and you've got to pull its teeth out basically, and beat up its teeth and pull them out until it has no teeth. It's very odd.
It's a gummy gorilla.
Yeah, I'm really liking Astro Bot so far. The only real complaint I have is that game requires you to be far, far, far closer to your PlayStation camera than any other PSVR game does.
And if you play it too far back, you will drift.
You will slowly start drifting, and the game does not have the ability to just hold down the options button to recenter like your position as forward.
Like every other VR.
Yeah, every other game on PlayStation VR supports it other than this one, and I don't know why. You could maybe stand up, you could maybe bring the camera like close to, like, so it's right in front of your face rather than on your telly, but it's weird that its settings are so different to every other PSVR game. Yeah, what else have you been playing?
What else have I been playing? Well, that will require me to have a look through my list. We played some board games. We played Pixie Queen.
Yes, we did.
Hey, that is a game that requires some explaining.
Yeah, now that we know how to play it, it feels a lot like Lords of Waterdeep in its setup. It's a board game where you play pixies that are trying to make the Pixie Queen happy, and every turn she'll want a specific type of resource, and everyone puts resources in the middle with like their hand closed and upturns it. If no one gives her the resource that she asked for, she gets very mad and no one gets their rewards.
But she does take all of their offerings.
Indeed. But if at least one person gives the queen what she wants, then everyone gets rewarded, and you can give her stuff that's not the thing she asked for to get some different rewards. It's this sort of bluffing game of, like, who's going to put in what? Like, do I risk not putting in the thing the queen has asked for? Because you can only put one type of resource in. It's like, if I'm taking a risk, I'm hoping that X person has put some in. And then the other part of the game is about resource allocation. Like, there's a board with, you can collect different kinds of resources depending where you put your tokens. And depending on who's first in the order gets first pick of what resource they want to claim, and like, if you claim a resource, no one else can claim it. It's very Lords of Waterdeep in that aspect of it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a worker placement game, so there is sort of that aspect of things. Yeah, I thought it was quite interesting. Though it took a lot of explaining. I'm starting to wonder if actually just reading the rules rather than looking up videos might not have just worked out slightly better.
I understood it far more when I read that back page of the instruction booklet that was just, here is the
quick guide.
Here is the symbols on the various spaces, and here's what that space will do for you.
Yeah. There is a lot going on in that game. There's like 5 different steps.
Yeah, because you can be aiming for a lot of different things. You can be collecting resources to give the queen. You can be moving up and down the gold and silver track. You can be paying for that row that keeps getting more expensive to get points.
Yep.
You can be getting your pixies up to the top of the board to get points. Or you can do something else for points, and I can't remember what the other thing was. Oh,
Crafting
making
rings.
gold rings. Yes, gold rings for points. There was a lot of things to be doing. And once we got a couple of turns in and we're like, oh, I get what I'm doing.
I understand it now.
It was a really fun game.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I look forward to a much more organised game next time.
Yeah, I think playing it through, we learnt some stuff like, okay, even though that row that gets more expensive every time you do it starts at low points, go for that, because it's really easy to get those early and they add up quick.
We also had some issues with the fact that we set up slightly strangely. We hadn't set up like
the food economy. We
food
put from
economy was
highest to
slightly
lowest,
balked.
and it should have been lowest to highest.
Yes.
We made some mistakes, but we worked it out as we went, and it was a really fun.
Yeah, it plays in like 60 to 90 minutes, so it is like a longer game to sit for. But yeah, I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah.
Speaking of board games, I had some news. I've got some incoming games on their way from my other Kickstarters.
Which ones?
That's a good question.
While you look, should I tell you about a game that we played?
Tell me about the game that you played, or that we played.
We played another board game. We played Tiny Epic Defenders.
We did, from those people at Gamelin.
Yeah, that do Tiny Epic Zombies, which we've talked about before. Tiny Epic Quest, which we've talked about before. This is infinitely simpler than Tiny Epic Quest to learn how to play.
Mm-hmm.
It's very challenging, this one. It's another, we got like within, we were one attack away from winning. We were so close. The Tiny Epic people are really good at games that you will be like right on the fucking line as to whether you can win or not.
Yeah, Gamelin games do have, I've not had played one I didn't like yet.
Yeah,
some of them have been a bit like heavy going rules wise, but like once you get the idea, all that, and Quest was really easy to explain.
Yeah. Once we got it,
yeah, and it's cooperative, so there is that aspect, and it was another one where although it's cooperative, I didn't feel like it ever created a situation where someone was potentially able to just override everyone.
Yeah, so
you can get that with some board games.
Yeah, so the basic idea with Tiny Epic Defenders is you've got 7 cards, you've got a big city to defend in the middle, and then 6 of them making a circle around it, and they're all different areas. So it'd be like the coast, the desert, the forest, the plains, and you've got this deck of cards you turn over, and attacks will happen on various areas. And you basically need to get your group of people into position to be putting out fires, fighting monsters as they show up, and every time around another monster or set of attacks gets added to the deck, and you keep just trying to survive and not take too much damage, right up until this big monster shows up, and then you go beat the big monster. And each area has special abilities, like the coast you could spend some of your action points to fully heal, which... that was a godsend. Don't know how you would play this game without the coast as a card. And your characters all have different abilities, but it's basically spend one of your actions every turn to move a square, however many actions to put out fires and fight monsters. It's a simple thing, but it's all just team position management.
Yeah, yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It gets a little hectic towards the end.
Yeah.
I like that. I get the impression that there's going to be a lot of variety with it, because apart from the capital city, the 6 cards surrounding can go either way up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variety there.
And in any position.
And in any position. Then you've also got the fact that you can only move in and out of the capital at like 2 points.
Yeah.
So there are some things that are going to be slightly further away from
Yeah.
where you might be at any given time. And then also you've got the fact that the monster deck is completely random as well.
Yes.
And is compiled before the game starts. So the chances that you will have whole different things, whole different adventures on any given time.
So we only played this in 4-player, but our friends who brought it over have played it in 2-player, and they said it
Did not scale well.
It feels impossible at 2 players, even though the game says it can be played 2-player, and I totally believe it, because how the fuck would we have survived? Because you need to be everywhere at once.
Yes.
And if you can't be everywhere at once, you won't die.
Yeah, maybe if it was like only 4 possible places you could go.
Yeah.
If there was some way of doing that.
I think definitely play this with 4 people, or maybe 5.
Yeah.
Don't play this solo.
Yeah, but the Gameling games are like, they come in sort of fairly small boxes.
Yeah.
They take up a lot of space generally.
But they're easy
They all
to
have nice
transport
meeple.
to it, like a friend's house.
Very
Oh,
easy to
all the
transport.
little items like the meeple can hold.
Yeah, and these ones can have back items that
Yeah, you
plug
can have
into
like
both slots.
wings.
Yeah, and one of our friends had wings. I ended up with a cloak. Somebody had a hammer and a spear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good one. I do like the Gameling games.
Did you find out what Kickstarter games you've got coming?
Yeah, Village Pillage is on its way,
yes.
and Streets of Steel, which I should have remembered because it's the one that's basically a side-scrolling beat 'em up done as a card game.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that come.
So you played one other thing this week.
I did. Yeah, I briefly sat down with Build a Bridge.
Tell me about Build a Bridge.
You build a bridge, and you try and get things across it. I think it's been out on Steam for like forever,
Yeah.
and possibly PS4. Yeah, you use various equipment, materials to build bridges across gaps, and hope that the vehicles survive.
It sounds a lot like Bridge Constructor Portal
Yeah,
that I played very like a
and
while back.
the other bridge constructor
Yeah.
games. So it's basically that.
Honestly, not my jam.
No, it wasn't my jam either. Which
Well-
is why I haven't played it for maybe 40 minutes.
That's okay. So I think that's everything we've played this
Yes.
week. So time for this.
Ooh.
Right, come on in. I've been working on something, and I think you're going to be excited about my new my new plan here.
I'm pretty excited.
So we got this problem. Sometimes people need to be detained, but it's not really applicable to all forces down, tackle them, the handcuff a person. Maybe someone's suspected of a crime, but we can't. We haven't proved it's them, and. We need them to not go anywhere while we work it out, but also, it's inhumane to chuck them in a cell or something.
So you're suggesting, like, if someone's found with a small quantity of marijuana?
Exactly, and we need to, keep them there just long enough to go, did you steal anything to get that? No? Okay, you can head off, that sort of level of thing, where you just need to make sure that they weren't doing anything actually bad.
Yes.
Yeah, so I got a new plan. I think this is a brilliant one.
Did they? I'm excited.
I'm thinking the new prisoning tech, cats on laps.
Cats on laps.
Yeah. No, hear me out. You
What?
take the person that you need to keep in place for a bit. You just put a sleeping cat on their lap because, as we know, it is a crime of moral proportions to move a sleeping cat. No one will do it.
No, no
Like-
right-thinking person would do it. You'd have to be a hardened criminal, and at that point, you might as well be wearing the handcuffs.
Exactly. If someone removes the
And
sleeping
leg
cat,
shackles.
exactly. So that's my thinking. Is we give them the option of a non-invasive, non-improper, and there's some dignity to imprisoning them. And if they do get rid of the cat, then either they have a cat allergy or they're a horrible monster. Either way, we're going to throw them in the handcuffs.
What if they become institutionalised?
Well, they just get a cat of their own, take it home. Have a cat at home.
What if they developed a special bond with our specially trained police cats?
Take that one home, we'll have a new police cat.
Right, well, I suppose there's not much training, really. You're just trying to make them sleep.
Yeah, you just got to have a nice cat that likes to sleep.
Yeah, seems fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I I will say, you're going to have to go be in charge of that, because I was testing this theory out and I am never going to be able to move again. This cat is having too good of a nap.
Oh, it's such a beautiful kitty.
Oh, I know. If anything, is too effective of an imprisoning method.
I think there's going to be a lot of institutionalised people. How about this? When we need to get the cuffs off, I'll shake this bag of dreamies.
Oh, you got a good plan there, my friend.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I've been, as you can see, I've been putting on the pounds a bit this week, but
Yeah, you seem to have really bulked up there.
yeah, well, it's midweek. You know how the weeks are. It's too busy getting everything done. I'm going over here, going over there, collecting up all the stuff you got to collect up during the week.
Yeah.
I've just had no time to have a good old proper release.
True. I mean, although there has been a lot of gathering this week, I almost let a little out yesterday, but I managed to keep it together. I'm going to save myself for the weekend. I'm stealing myself.
That's it. You got to really just let it all go at the weekend. That's
absolutely.
really your time to just let it all out.
Absolutely. It's when there's the most people around that can really enjoy you. Just really just letting your hair down, letting it all go.
Yeah. I'm not sure the people down there much care for our rain, but...
Well, no, but, you know, they're not there to enjoy it. It's for the ducks.
It's for the ducks.
I like the ducks.
I like ducks too.
So, what have you put in your eyes?
We continued watching Black Lightning.
Something else that made me cry this week.
Yeah, we made it up to season 2 of Black Lightning, and that show continues to be a really strong, solid show.
Yeah.
It has yet to lessen in quality, which I was surprised enough we got a DC show that was good in season 1. I did not expect it to stay as good in season 2.
That's true. Although, to be fair, I quite liked the first season of Gotham, so...
Yeah, Gotham was another one that had a good, its first and second season were pretty good.
I don't know, maybe it's not just DC, maybe it's something about particular branches of DC that just don't work for me.
Maybe DC can make TV shows, but not...
Maybe.
Maybe that's it, they're not used to trying to tell a full story in 2 hours.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they need that serialisation. But, I have really enjoyed Black Lightning. I sort of started... When was it? Sort of earlier this year. I think you were away for a weekend, and I just sat down and binged, 6 or 7 episodes. And then, obviously, we're now, all the way through season 1, which I think was, 13 episodes. And in, episode 2 of season 2. I would like to see more of that. I don't know.
We are going to binge through season 2 pretty fast.
Yeah, and then what? Then what do?
Who knows?
But yeah, I thought it was really quite good with the whole that kid who has been sort of a shining beacon of standing up for what he believes in.
Yeah.
Sort of standing up and saying the thing back to the principal.
Yeah.
And it's just that was really powerful.
Yeah, That show is it's striking such a good balance of comedy and family drama and seriousness and superhero shit, and it does so
origin stories without really dragging through it like some of the Marvel stuff has.
Introduced new powers without belabouring the point.
Yeah. Oh, we got a new power. Let's sit and discuss that for a week.
Yeah. So, other things we watched that made us cry this week, and we're going to be spoiler-free on this because we know that, it hasn't aired in some places yet, and if it has aired for you, it hasn't been out long, so you might not have seen it.
And we might do a spoiler cast separately.
Yeah,
so...
we're thinking of doing a spoiler cast, but we watched that Steven Universe finale, and... Oh, heck, that was a good 45 minutes of Steven Universe.
It was?
Yeah, We don't know at this moment if that is the end of the series, other than the movie that's coming. But if the show ends here, I'm okay with that.
I don't know what the movie's got left to cover at this point.
Yeah. We were having this point of they didn't answer every question. They left us with things to ponder as an audience. But that's how you finish a big story arc. Yeah. They answered the things we needed finished and gave us closure without closing it off so they couldn't tell any more stories. It was real good.
Mm.
Real good.
Yeah, I'm curious to see where they go with it, and will the comic books do a thing?
Yeah, there's definitely room for comic stories. Yeah, what I said this to you when we were discussing this after dinner was, it reminds me a lot of Voltron in that there's a lot of shows that I want them to end, not because I'm not enjoying them, but because I don't want them to have that point where they start going downhill.
Mm.
I often a show, if it's good, I want it to just end while it's good, so I have like a nice contained parcel of good show. And I kind of feel the same way about this. Like, I'd be very okay if this was how they finished the main story and never tried to build up another big arc and were just like, that's the big arc done.
Yeah. I'm curious. Like, what do now?
Yeah.
I was trying to remember the name of the movie.
What is the movie called?
The Heart of the Crystal Gems.
Ah, well, I'm excited for that, because that was a heckin'... If you haven't seen it, the finale is like 45 minutes long, and I told a couple of friends of mine who've been a bit behind on Steven Universe, I was like, now is the time to get caught up and to watch from wherever you got to, because you won't have to deal with those annoying pauses of months between episodes, and it will lead you up to a satisfying conclusion.
Mm.
It won't leave you on a cliffhanger that you have to wait months for.
Yeah. Plenty of good cosplay options.
Oh gosh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
What have you watched?
What have I watched?
What are you putting your eyes?
Well, you'll have to give me a moment to get back to my thing.
Well, if you like, I can tell you another thing that we put in our eyes.
What did we watch in our eyes, places?
We continued to watch The Good Place.
We did?
Yeah, that show has gone in an interesting direction. I did not see it going, as it is wont to do. Its discussions of morality continue to be interesting and valid and varied.
Yeah.
So, that's a good one. Also, I enjoyed the joke about the time knife.
I enjoyed some of the memes about the time
Indeed.
knife.
Yeah, there was that one particular meme of, yes, we've all seen the time knife. And have you seen the time knife, Jane?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds it may help to incriminate myself or others.
There's nothing wrong with seeing the time knife every now and again.
Exactly, as long as you're fully matured of mind and so forth.
Yes. So
set and setting.
What have you put in your eyes? Set and setting.
Well, I watched the thing today. Ocarina of Time, a masterclass in subtext.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's by Good Blood on YouTube. I don't know anything about them, so hopefully they won't milkshake duck everywhere. And it talks about like why Ocarina of Time is the saddest Zelda story.
Oh yeah.
And they talk about how, like, in the designs for Zeldas in general, there has been this sort of, especially more recently, this talk of sadness overall, and how that is dealt with by the various characters. And there is a lot of, like, loss and so forth that's very explicit in the other Zeldas. But in this one, obviously, they're talking about, like, how it ties into Shinto. Because obviously Miyamoto was like a follower of Shinto and stuff, and like how they talk about how like there's certain influences in the Zelda games that you'll see. Obviously things like the gate archway things.
Yes.
And yeah, there's some really interesting stuff about that, and about growing up.
Yeah.
How the only thing that can kill Ganon is the Master Sword. That final slash has to be with the Master Sword.
Yeah.
And the Master Sword represents like the left behind childhood.
Yeah.
The leaving the forest was also leaving behind childhood, because he couldn't go back without a fairy as Navi leaves.
Yeah.
And then obviously in Twilight Princess we learned that the hero of time ended up becoming a Stalfos, so must have wandered back into the Lost Woods at some point, the Kukori Forest at some point, just like everyone else, and that's kind of sad.
Yeah, there's a lot of sad stuff about that game, like the whole idea of like having to leave behind the only family you've ever known and find out you're not actually part of that. Like, his finding out he's not one of the Kokiri is a proper earth-shattering thing to drop on a kid. Totally right what you were mentioning about the Master Sword, in that, like, it's really sad when you think of the fact that he never had the chance to grow up. He's a child thrown into an adult body and forced to be like, You're an adult now, go kill that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if you watch that last cutscene where he, like, fucking stabs Ganon in the face, it's like, that's a kid who has had to be like, I had to stop playing with my friends and go stab a thing.
Yeah.
Like, even in the timelines where he gets sent back to his childhood so he can live out his childhood, he's not really going back to his childhood.
No, and also, isn't the Deku Tree dead at that point?
Oh, yeah, no, the Deku Tree is dead.
And the other thing to talk about is, again, like where it ties back into Shinto, about how, like, the offerings made to the gods, the fact that, like, all the child dungeons are quite childlike and there's, like, a sort of playfulness to them.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there is, like, the fact that you're entering bodies in every time.
Yeah.
So you've got, like, you're entering Jabu Jabu, you're entering the Great Deku Tree, you're entering Dodongo Cavern, which is clearly, like, skeletal in structure as you move into it. So,
Also, one that's just come to my mind, and again, I've not seen the video, don't know if this is discussed in it, the leaving behind of every single one of his childhood friends.
Yeah.
Because they all become sages.
Yep.
So he's got to leave behind Saria, Princess Ruto, Darunia. He has to leave behind everyone from his childhood.
Yeah.
They all move on, and he can't be with them.
Yeah,
which is very sad. All
left behind, and the sort of archetypes of, like, Saria, the sort of sister friend, and then, like,
Darunia is the big brother.
Darunia, the big brother, and then obviously the potential marriage partner.
Yeah, there's a lot of sadness if you stop and think about that game for, like, more than a minute.
Yeah. So it's like a 35-minute thing on YouTube. And that is Ocarina of Time, a masterclass in subtext by Good Blood. Yeah, that was an interesting watch.
Have you watched anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Well then, time for this.
Laura, we've got a new sponsor!
Who's our new sponsor?
Our sponsor this week is Revolutionary Guillotines.
Tell me more.
Well, as you may know, we're due a revolution any day now.
I hear it's coming. Any day, we're finally going to do something about all the nonsense.
Absolutely. We're going to deal with the 1%. We're going to deal with the corrupt MPs. And what are you going to need at a time like that? That's right, a good, solid, handcrafted guillotine.
Something that... Is this built well enough that I could go through a politician's neck if required?
You could go through the whole of Parliament.
Oh my goodness, this sounds like a steal. Now,
just like the blade of our guillotine.
Exactly. And you know what? This offer's so good, heads will roll.
Absolutely. Just like the prices, the pennies will be rolling back into your pocket, just like the heads rolling off of the shoulders of the rich, the staggeringly, disgustingly rich. So just head over to revolutionaryguillotines.org and you too can organise yourself a little head chopping party, a little uprising there. And if you just enter the code Q and PS51, you will get yourself a 15% discount at checkout. That's revolutionaryguillotines.org.
My goodness, that's such a good deal. I'll get a bunch of them and line them up all outside government.
Westminster, we're coming to get you.
Thank goodness we live in the UK where saying such things is not an act of treason. Thank you for coming along to my press conference, members of the tech and media press. I'm very glad to show you what Navidintel has been working on for the last couple of months. We think you're really going to like this. So, presenting the Laptop Pro. Now, I'm sure, like many of you, you've been in the situation where, you know, you have a laptop, you have a computer that you can, you know, take where you need to go, but maybe it's not as powerful as you would like. Perhaps you only use your computer at home, and you would like a larger, less portable, but more powerful machine. The Laptop Pro is a computer that is not portable. It is a sort of tower design. It stays in one place, and it's more powerful by virtue of not being a smaller portable device. Does anyone in the press have any questions?
JMagnet, StoneMonkeyRadio.blog. Is that not just a desktop computer?
No. It's a laptop that cannot be moved and is larger and in a tower shape and not movable and more powerful.
So where does the lap part come in of the laptop?
Well, usually the keyboard will be somewhere above your lap, presumably on a table.
On a table?
Yes, above
On
your
a desk,
lap.
you might say.
It is on a desk, but it is above your lap.
So it is on top of a desk.
Yes, you could call it a top desk laptop, I suppose.
No further questions?
Fantastic! Now, I've heard rumours of tower PC desktops. I will have none of it. It's not a thing. Don't listen to the lies. Get our laptop pro.
So, what have you put into your ears?
I've been listening to a few things. I've been putting on that that YouTube channel that does a 24-hour a day, like, study, chill step beats to study to.
Oh, lo-fi.
Lo-fi beats to study to, that thing. With the girl doing the writing while the sun goes up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of tracks from that I've like really enjoyed that I found. There was a lot of stuff on there I liked, but I just wanted to nod a couple of tracks. So the first one was a track called Alone by Caleb Belkin. It's very sort of like it's very chill rap that it reminds me a lot of the way that lyrics sort of bounce around in like a Childish Gambino kind of track.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very Childish Gambino sort of vocal line over very soft, gentle, slow classical piano.
Ooh.
It's a really good track. I don't know what the name of the piano piece under it is, but it is definitely an existing piece of classical music that is really beautiful. So it's not a long track, but I would really recommend Alone by Caleb Belkin. And the other one I'll recommend is Papava, P-A-P-A-V-E-R, by Fitz and Soup, one word, F-L-I-T-Z, the and symbol, S-U-P-P-E. It's, again, some sort of nice chill step. The lyrics are really kind of interesting. They're about... They're kind of sad. It's bittersweet. It's talking about sleep as respite during tough times, and that sort of... There's a turn of phrase he uses in this that I think anyone who's battled with depression will probably find very familiar. He talks about how the person rapping over it, I guess, talks about, sometimes I wish I could just go into a coma for like 3 months because there's just a bit too much world happening and I just want to get to it a bit later.
True.
I just want a break and I'll come back to it in 3 months. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, it's those kind of observations where you're like, that is a thing that if you've had depression, you can probably go, yep, been there. I thought that was a couple of really nice tracks. What about you? What have you been listening to?
Well, we listened to some things together while we were playing all them board games.
Oh, yeah?
We listened to the Wind Waker soundtrack.
Yes, and the main thing that reminded me is I love how that game incorporates sword beats and the sort of musical notes attached to those into its soundtrack.
Yeah, and not just things like when you're having the fight to train with the sword.
Yeah, that's one thing I miss from Zelda games is the whole every time your sword makes contact it does a musical emphasis.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Definitely.
What else do you listen to?
What else have I listened to? Well, we listened to the Twiglet Princess soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which is, I quite like the sort of mystery of that. There is a lot of more stuff from Twilighty bits.
It's a lot more somber and atmospheric as opposed to the sort of light-hearted, upbeat melodies of Wind Waker.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the difference in art styles.
Yes, very much so.
The music is, in both cases, very reflective of the art style.
I think they did a really good job with it, and it's one that I do like to come back to quite often.
Yeah. Same.
Or another one.
I've got one more. How many more you got?
I've got two more.
Okay, you do one, then I'll do one, then you do one.
Okay. Legend of Zelda 25th Anniversary Symphony CD.
Oh, I have that whole CD somewhere. It's so good.
It's really good.
I got to see that symphony concert in London live, and it was it was quite a thing.
Yeah, live music of that type is really quite amazing.
Yeah.
I do like things like that. But yeah, I imagine it's pretty powerful in person. Especially in a room with proper acoustics.
Yeah, there's some wonderful, wonderful arrangements in that. I would love for us to put that on like a good volume sometime.
Yeah.
And have a good listen.
Yeah, definitely. We should definitely do that.
Yeah. I listened to some more Dessa this week, who was that artist that did a track, I believe it's called Shrimp, that I was talking about the other week, that was like that sort of very unique, bouncy vocal style. I think I played Shrimp to you.
You did play Shrimp to me. You played a few to me.
Yeah, it's that one track is definitely like a bit of a standout on that album in terms of really exemplifying like a thing she's very good at. But there were a lot of other tracks on. I listened through her album Chime, and there were a lot of tracks on there that I very much enjoyed. I just wanted to give a couple of shout outs to some of them. 5 out of 6, Velodrome, and Warsaw from the album Parts of Speech are a couple of just really nice tracks. Yeah, Dessa has a really interesting way with how they use their words as a vocalist, and I'm enjoying them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your last thing you listened to?
My last thing I listened to, again, the thing we listened to together was Madoka, the Skyrim Bard song cover.
Oh,
it's
yes.
a really haunting version of it.
Yes, it is.
I've never played Skyrim, but I love some of the music that's come out of it, and that was one of the first ones that I really got into.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a simple femme vocal, like guitar cover, just like gentle strums, a little bit of echo on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's everything we've listened to.
Yeah.
So, time for this.
Hello, I'd like to make an offer. It's an offer you can't refuse.
Please take a seat.
I will do. Evilly.
Yes. So tell me, you'd like to apply for a mortgage?
Yes, I know what I want and I will take it by force if required.
It says here you're looking to purchase a hollowed out mountain.
Yes, I need enough space to keep all of my evil creations without being detectable by mortal eyes. A mountain is the perfect place to hide in plain sight.
Yay! So tell me, what do you have as collateral? Because I understand you're looking for 2.6 billion.
I can offer you some of my evil inventions, which you will know from TV, from times that I've been on the news, from my evil deeds. I have a freeze ray, I can put as collateral. You may have seen it did not work as intended, but it's still a functional freeze ray. I have the shrink device, and I will promise you a cut of my evil empire once I am successfully taken over the world.
Well, as you know, the bank already has a quite significant evil empire whereby we squeeze huge amounts of overdrafts out of people who can't afford to pay, but I'm sure like a bit more in the way of evil empire probably wouldn't hurt. So
Surely you can more effectively take money if you point a freeze ray at the people who have not paid.
Or perhaps that's something we'll pass on to our debt collectors, but yes, I think we could offer you a loan. Congratulations, we'll offer you the... There we shall say...
My evil plan has been successful!
Oh, God!
Sorry, I am full of concentrated evil.
Sign here.
I will do! Evil signature away!
Oh my goodness! Get over here! We've made first contact.
I'm really impressed. So
They've landed.
This is awesome. I'm so glad.
This is them. Look at them. This is our first contact with an alien life form.
Behind the jelly thing?
No, the jelly thing. It's the first sapient alien we've ever encountered.
You're pulling my leg, right?
No, I'm not pulling your leg. Look at it. It's clearly alien. There is nothing like this on Earth that can hover in this way, and that has this many arms, and that has prehensile noses? Like, that's not a thing we have on our planet.
Like I have watched a lot of BBC sci-fis from like the 60s through to the 90s. I know what aliens look like. They're like blue humans, and they all speak English.
You're aware that that was because of budgetary restrictions on making sci-fi shows. The chances of us finding humanoid life out there is infinitely smaller than finding non-humanoid life. You're our languages and communication expert. You were meant to be prepared for alien life and how we were going to communicate with it.
To be honest, for the first 20 years, I was kind of impressed they came in color.
Oh my god, we're doomed.
How are you doing? If I was Deanna Troy, I'd know what to do.
Question time, some questions.
What's the questions?
James would like to know, what are your thoughts on intelligence? What are your thoughts on if intelligence changes depending on how you spend your time or who you spend it with, or if it's just behaviour or practice?
I think it can be an infinite number of factors. I think intelligence as a single thing to measure is a really complicated issue. We treat it like you can go, that person is smart, that person is not. But usually what we're talking about when we say intelligence is ability to retain and regurgitate on demand purely academic information.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that is what people mean by intelligence, and I think that depending on whether you have a teacher that's engaging and teaches you in ways that are memorable can make a difference on that measure of intelligence. I think the learning resources available to you, be it having good textbooks, access to computers, access to good one-on-one tutoring, those are all things that can have an impact on that measure of intelligence. I think for most people, intelligence, the way it should be looked at is as a measure of how
You apply.
Pardon?
How you apply the knowledge.
Yeah, how you apply what you know,
Mm.
and that could be a dozen different things. Like, if we talk about intelligence, we usually say like, this is an intelligent child, they are taking their science exams a year early. But I think you could just as easily say, this person is incredibly good at football and very good at thinking out, like, knowing where they should be to get that good shot in. I think that is intelligence.
Well,
Even
according
if
to the
it's not
dictionary,
needed.
intelligence is the ability to apply to acquire and apply knowledge and skills.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess your football one works there with your athlete that's got to make split-second decisions about positioning and so forth. But yeah, I think back to the original question.
yes.
I think. So yeah, your thoughts on intelligence changes depending on how you spend your time. Yeah, but well, the definition of intelligence is your ability to acquire knowledge. So although you might acquire trivia from watching EastEnders every single episode every single week, you might not find that is the most useful intelligence to have.
But then, if you decided to start up an EastEnders fan site, that's you learning and applying that knowledge.
I'm not criticising anyone for watching
No,
EastEnders.
but that's... Yeah, I think the thing is there are definitely ways you can spend your time that will better result in traditional views of intelligence.
Yeah,
But
you could study forever, but you won't necessarily have the street smarts.
Yeah, like, I think there's a lot of people who are billed as intelligence but have no idea how to actually apply what they've learned because they're just very good at regurgitation.
Yeah.
I think...
You and I both have had that, though, from...
Yeah.
And possibly for similar reasons. Like, we acquired very specific knowledge in very specific fields, and we could regurgitate it, and for a while that got us some measure of popularity.
Yes, it did. Here's the thing. I think most people in this world, no matter what they're doing or how they're spending their time or who they're spending it with, they are gaining new knowledge of some kind and applying it in some way, even if that's... Maybe it's learning what kind of things make your friends laugh and using that to make them laugh more effectively next time.
Mm-hmm.
It's all intelligence and... yeah.
How it changes? I guess it changes by virtue of what information you're soaking up.
Yeah.
So you can use it intelligently, but it might not be useful to some hypothetical greater something.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's that. Becky 2 here would like to know, what is your dream holiday? No budget, time limit, or constraints of reality?
Holiday to the moon.
There's not much there.
There's not
Maybe
much
Alpha
there,
Centauri.
but up into space. I want to do a holiday where I can float around in zero gravity.
I'd like to do the zero gravity thing. I'd like to visit another civilization, maybe.
Yeah.
I'd really like to go to the Lake District at some point because I hear that's really pretty.
I'd really like to chill on in the baking hot in the nice warm sun on a completely private island with people waiting on a sand and foot and lots and lots of drugs to do.
I don't know if I could cope with
No,
that.
you can cope with just whatever food you want on this side, whatever drink you want on this side, and here's just some drugs.
Yeah, but I don't like
Enjoy.
I don't like people bringing me things. I like to be able to go and get my own
Okay,
things.
maybe there's just a very nice, well-stocked kitchen
Yeah.
just off the beach,
Yeah.
and there's some nice beds
Yeah.
there's a house, but we can just go out the front. It's like, here's just our beach.
There's the beach for a while.
Yeah.
But I think everyone should get a go on the beach.
I think so too, but I think also like us and our friends should just be able to chill and be like, it's our beach, because then we can go swimming and
Today it's our beach.
no one will judge because it's our beach.
Exactly. I can get a tan below my waistline.
Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
Mm.
Yeah. I'd like to do a resty thing. Maybe not too hot because I'm partly Scottish, so
Yeah.
prone to burning.
At some point, I'd like to go to Canada just to
Oh,
be
I'd
able.
love to go to Canada.
Yeah, I would like to take myself and we could go to Canada and that'd be nice.
I used to have a plan where I was going to learn to drive trains because I heard that the London Underground has some of the world's highest sort of standards for safety of train drivers. My plan was I was going to drive trains for the Underground for about 5 years and then move to Canada and just drive trains across Canada.
Oh.
Like, can you imagine that? Just like, look,
Yeah.
it's beautiful, and it's beautiful there, and it's beautiful there, and moose.
Yeah, I have my own like stuff going on in my head. I would like to go to Canada just to be like, fuck you, I got here. That'd be a thing. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I would definitely like to do Canada.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like maybe like a little quiet cottage somewhere in the woods.
Yeah.
Just like no one for miles, and just me, and then maybe one night just get like loads of little fairy lights and just drape them around loads of trees and just have like a woodland party
Put
with my
lots of
friends.
music on really loud, just alone in the woods.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be
directional though, so as not to disturb all the wildlife around.
Indeed, yeah.
But yeah, it'd be nice to sort of just have a nice quiet space with lots of nature around.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not really worried about anyone bothering me or me bothering anyone else. Arachnovolts! Spider facts! Arachnovolts got spider facts.
What's the spider fact?
It's just that. That's
Just the spider.
that's
spider
that's
facts jingle.
Arachno's theme tune now.
Okay.
I've decided.
Well, okay.
Arachnovolt would like to know: have you seen the Fire Festival documentaries on either Netflix or Hulu, and what did you think?
I haven't seen the Netflix one yet, but we watched one on YouTube recently to get reminders back up on all the details. That is a weird nonsense story, and I'm always up for more staring at that particular train wreck.
Yeah, and then with that actually put us on a whole little spin for like a few hours, didn't it? Because we watched that, and then we watched the thing about I forgot the name. Not Dragon.
The Tumblr convention.
Dream?
No, it was DashCon.
DashCon. I knew I had
Yes.
a D.
Yes, we watched some stuff about DashCon, and we were just reminding ourselves of like spectacular train wrecks.
Yeah, and then we talked about the one, was it Twitch, Tumblr one recently?
Yeah, DashCon, the Tumblr one.
No, the other one where people were dying in the heat outside, and that person like gave themselves like a week to organise it.
Oh, Fire Festival.
That was Fire Festival.
Yeah, that was Fire Festival.
I swear there was another one.
No, I don't think so.
It wasn't on an island, because Fire Festival was on an island.
Yeah, was there one not on an island?
Yeah, there was another one in America somewhere. I will look it up at some point.
Was this? I don't think we talked about this.
Too many
but
people turned up.
Is this the YouTuber?
Yeah.
Yes, the YouTuber one that was going on the same time as VidCon.
Yes.
Jenna was it? No,
That was it. Yeah,
Was it Jenna Marbles or someone like that?
something
No.
like that.
Whoever it was, the one that was going on at the same time as VidCon. That's a whole one that happened.
Yeah, with this, we've been on a bit of a thing for that recently.
Yeah, I'd be very up for at some point watching the Fire Festival lengthy documentary.
Yeah, I mean, if we have access to it, I'm happy
It's
to
on
watch that.
Netflix.
Oh, I like it. I'm Netflixed. Right. Bethany Turner is going to dye their hair blue. Not aquamarine like you, but a deeper blue. I have recommended one in the chat group already because I knew I would forget to look it up again later on today. So we did that. Hang on. Give me a minute. So I recommended Manic Panic High Voltage Blue Moon because it's vegan and it's really dark. And you've had your hair that colour before, back when you used to have really dark blue.
Yeah, before I went all light blue.
And Bethany's got sort of brown hair, so I reckon that will come out nice and dark.
Oh, I reckon so,
I think
yeah.
she's aiming for sort of that colour.
Oh yeah, no, that will do the trick.
Also, that is an epic persona.
Yeah, it's a very cool picture.
Mm-hmm. Right, back to the rest of the questions. Jason Lee, given the recent runaway success of the H-Bomber Guy fundraiser, what are the best and worst things about being an actual real-life mermaid?
You get to swim underwater for as long as you want without having to hold your breath. That's cool.
You can learn to their death.
Yeah, you can't walk on the land. That kind of sucks. Legs are pretty cool sometimes. Like, it's difficult to dance with a fishtail.
You can dance in 3 dimensions with a fishtail.
Not on the land, you can't, and it's difficult to put speakers underwater.
Oh, I don't know. I'm sure people have done it.
Probably, but there's not so many. There's not so
Jam
many
out
raves
your
under
way.
the sea.
Well, maybe there should be. 30,000 ravers under the sea. Calgador, if you had to play a game against death to win your soul, what would it be? Competitive dick sucking.
Original generation Yu-Gi-Oh!
Ooh.
Back from when I was really good at it.
Because you are a badass. at
Not
that.
like new rule set. Give me old Yu-Gi-Oh! I could beat the devil in a game of Yu-Gi-Oh!
I bet you could.
I could win my soul.
That dear guy Tricky would like to know, as a teen, I had vivid dreams / nightmares after seeing a few screenshots of Doom in a 90s paper magazine. Do you remember those from print magazines?
Yeah, print mags, yeah.
Ah.
Oh.
It uniquely set my expectations. Name a few games that you have dreamed about before or after playing.
Oh. I've had Guitar Hero dreams where my dreams have just scrolled up like the note screen on Guitar Hero. I've had that.
Yeah, I remember I was playing so much Day of the Tentacle when it first came out, and I had no way of getting hints. Just wandering around. Like, I remember sort of bits of that floating up in dreams.
I've had the Zelda dreams.
I don't think I've ever had a Zelda dream, which as a Zelda fan, I feel really, just...
Ocarina of Time era, I had some Zelda dreams.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I would like some blocking. I think I might have had some Final Fantasy dreams at some point, but that would have been a very long time ago. That would have been 7. Mm-hmm. Ian Burnham would like to know, what would you and Laura's characters look like if you was in Undertale?
Oh. Most of the people in that world are. I'll be like the humanoid bunny person that's in Snowden. I'll just be a bunny person, like hello.
I need to be a bunny person or a cat person. I've not played Undertale really, so I guess I could be a Temmie.
Like
a
just
good
little
Temmie.
green head
Hi!
Temmie. Hi.
Temmie and my business partner Jane.
So the humanoid rabbit person in that game is a bit weird. They're a humanoid rabbit with a non-humanoid rabbit as a pet. It's a bit weird. It's like how Pluto.
Are you sure
is
they're
a
not just a fairy?
No, I don't think so. But it's like how Pluto is Goofy is like a humanoid dog, but also Pluto exists in that world who's a dog. Like it's one of those situations.
More or less. Well,
Don't stop and think about it.
There are apes in this world. That doesn't mean there aren't humans. So maybe it's like the bunny sapiens and
I suppose so.
Lapis.
Yeah.
Is it Lapis? I don't know.
I don't know. But, so what's the next question?
Crimson would like to know, What are your favourite TV shows when you were little? Oh, were your favourite TV shows when you were little?
Pokemon and Power Rangers.
Transformers. I watched a lot of She-Ra. When I could get away with it, I watched quite a lot of My Little Pony, but I wasn't allowed to watch My Little Pony.
Yeah.
I was only allowed to watch She-Ra because they thought I was watching He-Man.
Yeah. Trust me, been there.
I vaguely remember watching the Popples quite a lot, and the Wuzzles. These are just words that will mean nothing to anyone these days. The Shoe People and the Poddington Peas.
Oh, the Poddington Peas.
Yeah,
Down at the bottom of the garden.
Among the birds and the bees, a lot of people. They call it Poddington Peas. There's creepy, black-eyed bee and lumpy. Okay,
Next
so
question.
Fryfurb Fringe would like to know movie/TV/video game worlds you would want to live in. I'm sure we've answered this before, didn't we say, Zelda?
Yeah, I think we did. Just live in, like, Hyrule Castle Town.
Yeah. Or the Tetris effect.
I'll live in one of the windmills in the windmill level.
Right?
Yeah.
Or maybe, like, Astro Bot, because it's quite cute.
Yeah. I'll live in the space station level from Tetris Effect.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, I mean, you wouldn't be able to nip out, though.
I could have a little zero gravity dance. They got internet on space stations, right? I can get on Spotify.
Mikhail, we all in this together. We'd like to know what is the weirdest hat you've worn?
The weirdest hat I've worn. I'm sleepy, okay? It's been a long week.
It's Tuesday.
We used to have a birthday hat growing up that everyone had to
wear.
The
family birthday hat.
Yes, that on your birthday
Jesus.
you had to wear the birthday hat. At the very least, when you ate breakfast, you had to wear the birthday hat. And it was a top hat, but the top hat section, it was like just thin fabric, but it was a birthday cake top hat that had happy birthday on it. You had to wear the birthday hat.
I hope it got washed fairly regularly.
It did, but you had to wear the birthday hat. That's probably the weirdest hat I've ever worn.
At least people celebrated birthdays, goodness.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe my bunny-eared Zelda hat. It's got a Triforce on the front hat. and just like sort of, 1.5 2 foot long bunny ears on it. And it's black and yellow. It's really good. There's my, I suppose it's like one of those spirit, is it a spirit head they call them? With the hat, it's got like cat ears on it and then like a scarfy bit that isn't a scarf that you can put your hands in.
Yeah.
And it's rainbow coloured.
You got some good hats.
It aims to be at least garish. I've got that cute little bunny hat with the little bunny ears and the little soppy bunny face that just peeks up over the little rain. You want which one? Welcome to wear whenever you want them. I'm sure I've worn some other really weird hats, because I used to be really into weird hats.
Weird hats are great. I'm mentally blanking, but I'm sure I've worn other weird hats.
I don't think a top hat counts as particularly weird, but I usually wear it with goggles just to look a bit odd. It's before I even realised steampunk was a thing. And I'm like, see?
Huzzah!
Jenny Taurus, hi! We'd like to know, I'm sure you'll cover it, but what are your thoughts on H-Bomber Guy's charity stream? What do you hope or think it will lead to?
I have some thoughts on that. I was on that stream a couple of times.
Twice.
Yeah, so I think it's a fantastic thing that happened. I am super happy for Mermaids that that was able to happen. I think it was really great that it acted as such a catalyst for vocal support of trans people for a couple of days. You saw a lot of big name people who are not trans talking about trans issues in ways that they often don't, because there was a big vocal point to sort of focus on. It was really nice seeing a lot of the names of people who wanted to get involved and do something.
It was nice to see cis people not bashing us for once.
Yeah, it was nice to have a couple of days in which the whole world was going, fuck you, Graham Lynham, you're an arsehole, we're going to
Except they weren't, they were going, thanks, Graham. Just to really like
thanks, My favourite was when everyone was sending pictures of their estrogen to him and just being like, having my morning hormones, thanks, Graham. He tweeted that he wasn't bothered, and then he tweeted like 300 tweets in a day, and it's like, I don't think you're all bothered. He's still today tweeting about that live stream.
He's not bothered.
He's not bothered, though.
He's not one of them snowflakes.
Yeah. So, I have some more, slightly more complex feelings about that stream. I think that stream was never intended to be as big as it was, and I think a lot of that shows in the way it was planned. There was a lot of issues that came up and were dealt with, and then more issues came up and were dealt with because on the fly this became a huge thing.
But all power to the mod team, because it sounds like they managed to keep chat fairly shit-free.
Yeah, it was a minor miracle it was as well curated as it was. I know some of the mod people on that, they were working their asses off, like barely sleeping alongside the guy doing the game. I think that the queries raised about some of the balance of who was talking on the stream was definitely valid. I think that it's definitely valid to talk about the fact that at a certain point that stream became a lot more, I'm going to have cis celebrities on to not even necessarily talk about trans stuff, but to just be there and go, hey, famous person is here, is a valid criticism. I think that by virtue of the fact that, like, this only would have got as big as it did, A, because it was a cis white guy streamer, and B, because they got a lot of celebrity cis straight white people in as well to help them. That definitely was to the benefit of raising money for the charity. But
And from what I've heard, like, places like 4chan didn't even really pick up on it until, like, today.
They didn't notice it until, like, that's the minor miracle is, again, because it was being done by a person who wasn't trans, they just didn't jump in until much later. I think the last thing, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier, was that whole point of, since the stream happened, there have been some people saying, hey, well, why didn't trans people step up and raise that money for, like, this way for mermaids? It's like, well...
Because if we tried it, you'd have shut us the fuck up and shut us down turned it to shit in minutes.
Yeah, no, it's... Either no one would have paid attention or the wrong people would have paid attention. Yeah. You can only get away with doing something like this when you are already a cis straight white guy with a big platform.
Yeah.
And
sadly.
Yeah, and that's kind of sad. Like, it's definitely not for lack of trying. He just... The people who were making this a story of, aha, he worked out how to fix trans stuff better than the trans people did. It's like, no, you're not.
Perhaps you don't understand institutional racism, among other things.
Indeed. It sounds like I'm complaining about a lot of stuff. That's because, like, on the positives, it's just a big... This was amazing, an amazing thing was done. We got to feel like the world was on our side for a couple of days.
Yeah, it was really nice. I logged onto Twitter. I didn't immediately feel like shit all day.
Yeah. It was the world was really positive towards trans people in a way that it often isn't, and like there's no real detail to say about that. That was good.
Yeah, and like people mentioned that it was quite white.
Yeah, it was also quite heavily lent towards trans women over trans masc people at times.
It was largely very abled.
Yep. I did try and get my couple of minutes in there to go, hey, so let's talk about autism and like disability stuff and trans stuff and how those intersect. And there were a couple of nice like discussions like that, I think.
I understand there were some people on Sunday morning with disabilities that were talking about stuff.
There was some discussion at some point about the Nazi book burnings that happened and how that set back research into trans people a huge amount. And there was a really interesting discussion I caught the tail end of where someone was talking about, and this is the thing I think we've talked about before, that people complain, well, if trans people are real, why is there no record of them before 1930? It's like, well because all of it was in Nazi Germany, and then it all got set on fire.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm amazed that happened, and it's a magical thing to see.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, they raised a lot of money for a really good cause, and I hope more good things come of this, and I hope that other trans people who are perhaps struggling as much or more than I have been recently will have looked at that and gone, you know what, maybe not everyone does hate us outside of our own community.
It's really nice to see, like, the nice side of having all those celebrity people getting involved was having those moments of, like, Mara Wilson, who is occasionally on Welcome to Night Vale, but most people will know her as Matilda. From the Matilda film. Yeah. She came on to be like, hey, it's really awesome what you're doing, trans people are great. Adam from Adam Ruins Everything, he popped on to be like, hey, trans people are great, keep up the good fight. Yeah. It was really nice seeing some people like that being like, oh, I'm glad that you approve of my existence, friend, thank you.
Yeah, that was more, and hopefully, like, those people's audiences will also have caught up to that and will also be brought on board.
I will say,
that-
screw you to the news organisations that reported headlines like Alexandria,
Ocasio-Cortez.
Ocasio-Cortez goes onto Donkey Kong's stream to say Nintendo 64 is the best console.
Yeah.
Maybe like point out the trans stuff
Yeah.
in your headline, maybe.
Yeah, maybe do that.
Maybe.
Maybe don't be shitty. Maybe don't be shitty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Sebastian Hambucker has said, would you rather live on a boat, in a treehouse, or in a bunker?
Treehouse. I've told you this before. I romanticize the dream of living somewhere very high up and being like at the very top of the thing. Be that the top of a tree, or the top of a lighthouse, or a windmill.
I'd like to live inside a living tree.
Yeah.
Some sort of cool living tree organism.
I'm now picturing that house built inside a tree toward the end of Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah, that's really pretty.
Yeah, I could live in that tree.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the thing from Saga that's like a
Oh.
like a pod thing that flies through
Yeah.
space. That kind of treehouse. Space treehouse. Safia Darkwood, what is queer culture like over there? I'm from the States and I would rather learn about the world than tell it to fuck off. Which is a fair standpoint.
Yeah, I think the UK queer scene is very fragmented.
Yes.
It's very 18 plus nightlife centric.
Yeah.
There's a real lack of
Well, there's not really any like youth centres or anything anymore
No.
anyway. So
Yeah.
the ability for like young people to have anywhere to hang out around that isn't just outside a McDonald's.
Yeah, all queer spaces are really assumed to be 18 plus spaces, and I think that's a holdover of a history of queer people being demonised and accused of, in many cases, accused of paedophilia or being a danger to children, and as such, creating spaces for queer people that excluded children so that those accusations wouldn't get made. No accusations of grooming or anything, which has never really been addressed, and it means we have like gay bars and gay nightclubs, and that's really it.
Yeah, and like I know like a few like straight edge or teetotal queer friends who were just like, I don't want that kind of night out. I want to go and have a coffee and play board games and
that's not
queer
to say
friendly
those
things.
places don't exist. When I used to live in Bournemouth, there was a really nice cafe called Flirt, which is exclusively like aimed at LGBT people. It's a very LGBT friendly space. They do exist, but they're definitely not common. I think there's a real lack of sober or all ages queer spaces.
Yeah.
We're very reliant on Pride as a place to be like, now we're all together.
And the thing certainly, I don't know, maybe I'm just getting older and I don't really recognise young people anywhere, but it felt like there was a lot of quite young people at London Pride and Brighton Pride this year.
Yeah, definitely.
And at Trans Pride Brighton as well. There was it was a good age range there.
Yeah.
Like the first couple of years, it was quite old. And
Pride is definitely becoming a lot more accessible to like teens.
Yeah, bring the kids along.
Yeah. We got any other questions?
That is all of the questions. Do you know what I want to see more of?
What do you want to see more of?
Social justice warriors.
Hello, Larry.
And Barry, how you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
I'm alright. I've got some grumbles, me. I occasionally have some grumbles. I saw a thing this week. It was going round. It's just got me thinking. Victim shaming's a thing that happens. It's a bit shitty, isn't it?
It's more than a bit shitty.
It's more than a bit shitty. It's very shitty. Like, I don't know. I wasn't aware of it, until pretty recently. It's a thing I'm learning about, and as I understand it, correct me if I've misunderstood, but I believe the concept is, blaming people, often marginalised people, for things that happen to them because of, perceived things that they asked for it, not, the people who did whatever bad thing. Like, example being, if a woman goes out at night in you know, in a revealing outfit and, you know, happens to be a victim of sexual assault, people might go, well, you probably shouldn't have dressed like that. And that's, you know, that's victim blaming behaviour, because you should be blaming the person who made a choice to do sexual assault.
Yeah, you know, the thing that caused rape is rapists.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not, you know, short skirts or how much you've had to drink or whether you're absolutely drug fucked out of your skull and lying in a corner in the recovery position for safety.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just, you know, cases like sexual assault and rape. There's so many situations where victims get blamed for things that, you know, happen to them. You see it like when kids get bullied in school. It's always the sort of well, you know, if you didn't, you know, respond to it so much, they wouldn't do it. If you know, just didn't respond.
If you just made more effort to fit in.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like that's an example where it happens. It's a depressing thing to see, because you know, it's so willing to blame the people who are being hurt rather than going, just don't be shitty people.
Well, exactly. One that really made my blood curdle earlier this week was I saw the phrase "provoked racism."
Oh goodness!
I'm sorry, what?
Oh
no, that's clearly blaming the victim of racism for something they have no control over whatsoever. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's, you know, if you'd acted different, this wouldn't have happened.
If you'd been somehow born different.
Yeah. Oh, this is... Oh, topics like this are tiring. They're exhausting.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing the queer community's had for ages, and trans people as well. Like, why don't you make more effort to pass? Well, not everyone can do that.
Exactly. Why are you blaming that rather than going, why don't you just accept people for how they look?
Or how they tell you they are.
Exactly.
Like, if somebody says they are something, you know, not everyone can afford or is able to take hormones for numerous reasons. Not everyone can afford or desires to necessarily change everything about how they look. Especially when, you know, take an example back to trans women, to say, like, you know, why don't you shave your armpits? Like, and then these are usually the same people that say, well, isn't it the most beautiful feminist thing that, you know, these women aren't shaving their armpits for whatever reason. Yeah. They're not conforming to that, but, you know, we're someone else not to do it. They're then suddenly there to blame for, you know, again, victim blaming for the abuse they suffer. That would be otherwise heralded as a good thing in somebody else.
Oh, yeah. Do you mind if we have that hug?
Always.
I'm all tired out.
I don't blame you, mate. It's been a heavy week.
Yeah.
You seen that Steven Universe finale?
Oh, it's proper good. Good. I need some time to process it, but I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Proper good.
Yeah. Right. Shall I put the kettle on, mate?
Yeah, put the kettle on.
Yeah.
Have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Laura!
Yes?
Where can we find you on the internet, darling?
You can find me at Laura K. Buzz pretty much everywhere. Laura K. Buzz on Twitter, Twitch and YouTube. You can find my books on the internet. Uncomfortable Labels is my memoir that is about me being trans and autistic and gay and all sorts of things and how they all intersect. That's on the internet. It's on places. I saw it on, I think, Waterstones. It's on Amazon. I think I saw it on Barnes & Noble in the US, so that's cool. There's also Things I Learned from Mario's Butt, which is for a short time still up on Unbound, so you can get backer rewards if you want to support it. It's a coffee table book with illustrations about video game character butts.
And the backer rewards are really cool.
I'm taking the next week off of my day job to do a bunch of making that book, just getting the text complete, ready to send that to the publisher.
Nice.
Otherwise, I'm on Dice Funk. It's a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons podcast. I'm on seasons 3, 4 and 5. They're all self-contained stories. What are you do, Jane?
I can be found on Twitter and YouTube as Maniac Janiac. I'm on SoundCloud as Jane Eris Magnet, where you might be listening to this now. I'm also on twitch.tv/Janiac. I usually do a show on Thursdays, around 7:30 UK time. I'm on stonemonkeyradio.blog, where I write reviews and just silly stuff. And I will shortly be appearing on Badly Designated Heroes, which is a 5th edition D&D podcast. That's coming out at the end of January, I believe, so I'm very hype about that. Hype.
Whoop whoop.
Sing us out, darling.
Until next time, be a stranger.